Molweni bafethu. Namhlanje siphethe umba serious kakhulu. And that is an abusive relationship. Masibeke in context, asithethe gender-based violence, asithethe ngantoni into ezimalunga ne-violence or abuse and whatnot. Sithetha abuse in a relationship. Khumbula podcast yethu, it's about couplehood. So it's between couples. So that's what we're talking about today. It's serious. I hope we're not gonna crack jokes, Wayne, because it's better when we're serious. Otherwise, as we talk serious, when we see time. Over to you.
Welcome back. It's sagas of couplehood as always. It's another saga, another week. When are we? Where are we now? 8th episode, Ninth episode. Welcome back as always. It's DJ Wicked. Snomzo. We appreciate your support every time when you go through our podcast and browse and give us a feedback. It means something to us. So namhlanje, as Umzo mentioned, is abuse. We want to understand what is this abuse all about and why do we have abusive relationships. From what point do we start having somebody getting abused and why do they get abused and how should we work out around this evil thing of abuse. Let's help each other understand abuse and correct it and make sure we have a better living in this fat and sad marriages, whatever it is.
Yeah, yes. What's ironic when away le bangaba xa udibene nomuntu nobayi-2 nale weni nayo ndijaswela uthando. So abuse ke ngoku, it's an opposite. It's almost around hate ke ngoku. How can you abuse someone that you claim to be loving?
You seem so. I've heard in certain circles that when somebody really loves the other person, there's a tendency of them getting hurt with this other person's behavior to an extent that they feel because of they really love this person and probably the person's behavior pushes them to behave in a certain way, which ends up being labeled abuse. Because we turn them in a certain way that you like protecting your interests. Like,
so you love them violently.
I don't know if it's the right term to use, but you really love this person to an extent that you feel man go as sitting like
okay.
So in a way, this is my person. Yeah.
Then when does it when does it start? Must it in a relationship say butterflies swing and whatnot? At what stage does the abuse start? Did something go wrong? Did somebody do something wrong? Okanye, have you guys not met each other's expectations? As a result, now it's putting a strain on the relationship.
You see, I always try and give comparison to umjolo wakudala na umjolo wamanje. I don't know if it was always like that. If we Woma Kulbetu and Batam Kulbetu did abuse in their relationships, but with our today's relationships, we've got a lot going on, bro. I've got a lot going on, and when this lot that I'm mentioning going on, you feel it's getting out of hand and you want to protect your interests towards this particular person, you feel, really, this is mine. And by trying to have that protection, maybe you go thinking I'm using minimum force to so that I can be heard and be understood. This is how I want things to be done. Not noticing that already, so we are already an abusive partner. When you think I'm doing good to protect what we have with Lomden, Tantana and I, but you go an extra mile to make sure things are good for the two of you. And in the end, before you even notice it, and within a relationship, when you start loving somebody, you are clouded with utando. Then there's a cloud like umsi. covers your head and you don't see anything else, and you just see yourself in that person. And whenever there's anything else that is out of you and that person, that's an intruder. And when you want to work on the intruder, look at Oscar Pistorius. If his story is actually true, that he wanted to protect his family and ended up going out there with a gun, he's somebody who's protecting what he has in the house. He feels this is mine, and anything else that intrudes into what we have, I gotta go out with the gun. When he ended up shooting his loved one, I'm not sure if.
That's a blurry story, that one. But how come you allow your love to pose a threat on the person that you love? This is where I get lost, because now you love this person. Your love, let's take the example that you just put up, Pistorius. Pistorius took out Pistilius yakhe. Okay, ipistili yakhe. Ngokutsho kwakho uthi wayeyoprotector wena phayana. Uprotect loved one. But can you not see ukuthi your behavior may likely to endanger the very same person that you claim to be loving, the very same person you claim to be protecting? So how do we draw the line between love and or maybe excessive love? Because I'm trying to think now, maybe like that point that you put up of saying you're protecting your interest. What is your interest with this person? Is this person you love? Your interest is the love that you have for this person. Then you want to barricade this love to be yours alone.
So the protection of interest is there everywhere. Like if you're somebody who watches National Geography, I mean, even in the animal world, you have animals protecting their interests. The bull lion, the bull baboon protects where it thinks this is mine. Do you know, like?
But it's slightly different then, because humanity is highly evolved than animals, and I think part of that evolution of our consciousness taps into the fact that yes, I love you, but my love cannot take away your freedom. Otherwise, it's not love anymore. If it's too excessive in a way that it taps into your freedom now, you're not free to do other things of your interest simply because I'll be. That's where jealous comes in, insecurity comes in. You are too over possessive. You are calling your woman 8 times a day to find out their whereabouts. You can't even concentrate at work because your mind is filled with the other person. A person has got free will to do what they want to do. Just because the poor lady decided to fall in love with you, it doesn't take away some of her free will. That's the difference between animals and humanity.
True that. But so if you check all these topics that we come up with and try and digest about, they are so broad. They are so broad. Umjolo, Yanyisa, Fatenset, Umbejo. And it's we're trying to find a way and a common understanding as to why certain behavior starts having its roots out of people who thought they were good together. And these two particular people grew up differently. You are born, Mzo, I don't know from which hood you are raised and what you are taught. And Usisiena is born, Uzinhle, she's brought up in a certain way and she has a different understanding of life and all that. And as life progresses, you get to meet each other and you look at each other, you talk to each other, you have got common interests, you like each other. And boom, tandana, and you tell yourselves, "Sizohlala soyi-2." But now, you are two different people with different mentalities. Now, you mentioned this at some point already. There's a disadvantage with Fatun said why, because when somebody moves into your space, because when you've got a certain understanding of how life should be, and somebody else just moves into your life with their own understanding of how life should be, and now you need to compromise at a certain point and get some understanding that and I have to do away certain friends, I have to do away certain things so that we have this relationship fostering through. But at a certain point, they have to be who they are and behave as who they were supposed to be, determined with how they were brought up. Then there's a clash. And on that clash, now probably I think with men in mind, men invest in a relationship. The men do invest in a relationship, be it financially, I've mentioned this before, be it morally, be it physically, they are there for the woman. And they feel, this is my woman. I've done this, I've done A, B, C
but
for them.
But does the woman not invest in the relationship?
I mentioned that men invest financially, morally, physically. They're there for the woman. This is where also...
women also contribute in that very same way. So just because they expect you to be coughing up money doesn't mean that nabo they don't use money. Sometimes yakhwela zekuwe angatyi imali yokhwela okanye zikhona izinto nje azenzayo. Sometimes she acts to look good, enza inwele zakhe ngemali yakhe, enza intoni, things that make you happy. So naye financially uyadleka somehow.
But when you look at the ratio,
even though bengapeyi emsebenzini beqhatyela izandla.
But if you look at the ratio, men tend to put more effort because we attack and we want recognition from this woman. So it's always from your side that you feel I should do A, B, C so that I'm recognized by this particular person and whoever is next to them. And when things don't happen in a way that you think it's supposed to happen, after when your investment and all that, we are part when why umuntu ezobehave ngolu hlobo, and not knowing it. At times you won't be knowing it. That says, as I said, love clouds you and there's some smoke going on in your head. And before you know it, you think you're doing the right thing. Like when we unomdana no, you're right. But before you know it, you're being abusive. You're being abusive.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. You're ironing out in a very clear manner. But so you're saying to me, you can actually have good intentions, but your action towards pushing the person towards the good direction be a very punitive. You are using punishment in terms of nudging them into the right direction.
Is it fair? Is it a fair statement now to say punishment? No, not.
Okay, maybe it's not fair. I take that. I get that. But if I say, I call, hey, when Danisile Opi, you understand? At I'm at a saloon. DJ, how long have you been a saloon? What? But isn't that? Yeah, I'm trying to find out their whereabouts. Then while I'm trying to find out their whereabouts, I'm showing my insecurities right there. And sometimes my insecurities don't come because, now I'm talking about myself here. I don't come because I want to find out their whereabouts. I don't want them to do something stupid that's going to jeopardize this relationship. I'm protecting it by all means. Maybe that's my intention. But this prying on her, sort of on crap, and the kind of mistakes, then umntana bantu end up feeling secured. Okanye feeling at a tiptoe around me. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So which could be abusive. And Masi outline about this. Abuse doesn't just come physically. You call it emotional abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And things such as manipulation sometimes they can those are subtleties of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you become very strategic in terms of how you do things. Just umzekelo, the typical example, let's say umuntu ufuna imali yokwenza into ethile lapha ucela i-girlfriend acela imali yokwenza into ethile lapha kuwe uthi ya uzayenza, but wena you could do it right in that instant, but you are just waiting for the correct moment to do it. You are doing it, let's say mhlambe uza epatini wathini wena you first need to find out ukuthi okay, is this a legitimate party uyanabani uyanemali before you cough out this money. Why didn't you trust her with it from the start? So those are other subtleties of abuse that we may overlook. I'm not talking about, we are talking as if it's only a man that abuses. What about the woman? The women do abuse it sometimes.
Where's Baba Nemali ke bazawugeza ke? They will definitely abuse. But I need your assistance here.
Akutheke ikawusi kuba ndiyakunxebisa. That's when the underwear you want.
But they will just give you a glass of water and then they tell the rest of the... Somebody was telling me a man can stay with an unemployed woman for 6 months and no one will know about it in the community. And it comes back and the woman is just sitting at home and doing CVs and nothing is popping up for 6 months. Nobody knows about it. But right, but Puma out. Then when a man is sitting in a woman's house for 2 weeks, not employed, still looking for something to do, the whole community will know. Just for 2 weeks when you laid off from work and you're sitting at home. But what I wanted to know from you, besides all this, let's get a proper definition of abuse. What are we talking about? When we say abuse, what are we talking about? You better.
All forms of abuse, but I don't want us to dwell because let's not state the obvious. Otherwise, it will be a cliche. We are telling people what they already know. Because if we're talking about better, we are talking about the outer way, the well-known way of abusing. But I want us to pinpoint some subtleties also, so that a person out there, they are like, no man, umuntu wakhe basoloko benengxabano nomuntu wakhe aka understand but why bexabana ngento ezincinci. Kanti this thing is some kind of form of abuse that is undercover. What's that other term when something is subtle, low key?
No, low key,
And low key way, low key abuse. It happens sometimes.
So, give me these terms, man. I think this is the only way now we can now. We've done the pre-intro of what we are going to be talking about today, and now what is abuse? Please elaborate. There's a man who is physically attacking a woman. There's a man who is number two.
Why to say a man all the time? It's not only a man. This topic is about an abusive relationship, not a man abusing in a relationship. Abusive relationship.
Okay, let's have
that definition. Okay, this is coming from the top of my head. You guys can Google it at home and find a proper.
Maybe we should not forget to tell them that what we say here is from the University of the Streets.
Of the Strato. SSC Strato.
Yeah,
this is as real as it gets. Yeah. Because sometimes, you know, when we were young, I'll tell you the power of the knowledge in a day-to-day kind of university, the University of the Streets. The power of that is that it's always a default space where you go to. The knowledge that you gain from the street is the basic knowledge. Some of the things, namhlanje sisathi noba yiphi brand ye toothpaste thina sithi Colgate. because sakhula kusithiwa i-Colgate. I'm watching i-Colgate aqua fresh. Ne-beef stock. I-beef stock siyazi i-beef stock. Kanti kukhona i-chicken. Awusikwazi ukuthi chicken stock ufike uthi ndicela i-beef stock ye-chicken. Kanti umhlawumbe is supposed to be a chicken stock. So that's the power of the streets. It's your default space. Yazi sisakhula wena ngeke sajima ikarate kojukayi. Hayi ke wathi ayikajinyiswa phaa small business khona usensei phaa ujimisayo. Yes ayaphaka thina sezilight ke sinalani banga yo siza ngobukela inansi ko Jackie Chan no Bruce Lee no banibani qonda yeah we're going to do that and sizobaseleka sinu like back spinner and stuff. Yeah isama so jima phaa. But what I'm trying to get at here is I'm trying to emphasize that point of the default of the knowledge of the streets. Side Jimmy Karate, a 6 months, so each knees, carry my ripa and all of that thing. Fine, it was all good. You know how to block and everything. Younger than that damn says karate. Brother man, when you have to fight with your fellow friends, nisilwa ngebhola ikarata yikho uyayikhumbula xa sewugqibile ulwa kanene hayi ikarati kanjani ngela xesha kunomsindo usilwa chova amanqindi qha fight kuliwe and then yocinga sekungu kanene nekarati. There's no time for you to think my geri yenziwa njani nandikhabe nge my geri the block and thini. That's not the thing. This is where I'm trying to get at ngale default knowledge. Your default knowledge is something that is at the, like you know it at the back of your hand. When you wake up, you are on that default nature that's been engraved into your brain. So, yeah, even what we are trying to say here, the way we want to naturalize things and to be in an everyday things, it's not about a textbook or anything. These are experiences that we have experienced and our friends have experienced, you at home and the rest of the people have experienced, especially in the context of a township, South African township and everything, with all of its problems and shitty societies. So, coming to that definition now, sorry for to be making a very long
I was waiting.
So, I'm coming to the definition. So, this definition is not that you're going to find in the book. Yeah. My street knowledge of when I read that street textbook about abuse, an abusive relationship. Telling an abusive relationship. An abusive relationship is a relationship to me where that makes omnye wabantu bakule relationship bangabikho happy. Anything that is leaning towards unhappiness
of the other person,
especially about matters of this relationship, constitutes abuse. If you are not present all the time, that is leaning towards abuse to me. You are going out drinking and gallivanting with other girls, constitute abuse. You go around being a Casanova with all the other women or other men, it constitutes to abuse. Whether your man knows about it or he doesn't know about it. When you can rest in the fact that no, what he doesn't know is not going to hurt him. You are abusive and toxic.
Oh, thank you. You did define it in a way that I also did understand. I think everybody else did understand what you just explained here. But have you realized that, Wenamzo, these terms that you're talking about are terms that start popping up at a certain stage in a relationship? So when we meet somebody, there's a certain behavior that you do with this particular somebody. Then you get to know each other. Some people call it honeymoon phase and all that, where you understand each other.
On point.
Yeah. There's a time where you're sitting with a woman, you can't even fart. Because it's a new relationship. You feel, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. Like, like
your manners are on point.
Yeah. Then eventually, as you get to understand what type of a person I'm dealing with, and you relax. Now you're kululeka because we're good, and into your floor. Then that's what now people I think call the honeymoon phase. And somebody was actually telling me that in Cape Town, una relationship in 3 months. That's a relationship. You are on point. Because usually 2 months, 3 months, then you're man, there's something wrong here. And you start avoiding that person. Yeah, well. So, but if it surpasses 3 months, 4 months, then it's into 6 months. Then now, these signs that you're talking about start popping up. Why? Why now? Now, agents, and I'm telling her, no, I'm coming back home, baby, and I'm gonna be out with the boys. Then it's an issue. Maybe because initially when we met, I was not going out in my gents. I would go with her to the gents. Now, there should be an explanation about this. Why all of a sudden a change of behavior? Because for an abusive behavior to start showing its ugly homes, it's because of certain behavior that starts showing its ugly head. And now somebody feels, no, this is not the person that I was dating. This is something else different. And I think this person is being abusive.
But that stage that you talk about, that initial honeymoon stage, that's the stage of acting. But you're not the only actor here. Even your prospective partner is also acting. They've got manners, Nabo. They've tuned up their harps. Everything is on point because Nabo, they want this thing to work. You understand? So I don't want to say, because with the way you put it now, it seems like when as a guy you've been on point to in order to make this work. Also, the other person is working, is doing the work to make this work. And now comes this point of saying that 3 months last again. Last time. If we pay 3 months as we see, last year.
I don't know when I last lasted. Some years back. What am I saying? Some term.
But here's the thing, Wade. But the thing is, man. You know why it's difficult. Once last year, once ungaziqhelisi ulasta, asoze ulaste for a very long time. I'll tell you the rationale behind that. Ihashe kuthiwa kunto kuthiwa kuqalwa liyaqalwa ihashe. Uqalwa kwehashe, I don't know ngesilungu, but they do have a term ngesilungu. Xa liqalwa ihashe, when a horse is being ridden for the very first time, because it's the first time this thing has ever liyadlokova but bakhona abantu bakwaziyo uqala ihashe angene pha aliqale la hashe anyamezele yonke la turbulence yenza ihashe
abuse ihashe kodwa
yima wayini uzophazamisa ipoint yami. But until a point liqhele la weight yomuntu lide liqhele ke ngoku urayidwa ngumuntu ihashe. So coming back to what I was saying, about this thing of uqala kwakho ungalasti, you may not last for a very long time because you are not used to being with someone in your space all the very time, all the very fucking time. Let me just push up that swear word because so once ungaziqhelanisi nala discomfort of saying, okay, right now I'm going to compromise. I'm going to do this. Yes, I don't unvan into Chile, but for the sake of this thing that is going on, I'm going to let down my guard or allow is new interest Chile when cutting us allow. That way, uqala elahashe li relationship abaku you are qhelanisa no last. Was last sometimes has got nothing to do with an abuse that you get from that person. Something you may think that it is abuse because when you are so used to your freedom, because as a result now, xana kukho umuntu around wena, sometimes amajito abaneterms, yeah, awuzenza umamam lo, uyandibuza uba ndini, uyandibuza uba bendityile, uyandibuza uba bendithini. It's simply because you are not used to having someone around you wena lo enjoy freedom yakho, qhume erands, qhume kwa-AC, phume ye-sick lounge, ukhangela indawo elandikileyo evuliweyo. You understand? So kulapho ke ngoku you are a melting point of being an abuser in a relationship when you start. You find umntana abantu ubuthetha ngayo sithi khulele kayikayi kwathini yena nayo une-vision ethile relationship afuna ibe yiyo. Wena lo ungulusimatheka wena. Into oyifunayo ufuna, you still want to maintain your single lifestyle and you still want to be in a relationship. Uzoqalisa uabuse umntana abantu because mbonisa false hope. Akazulandika, ubuwena buzawujeopardize what you guys are trying to do. Remember, when you are with someone, forget you. Now she must forget herself. Now it's about the two of you. How do we marry these two things? How do we amalgamate your shit and my shit together so that it makes one shit? How do we make it to work? We are not saying this is a free sale or a rose garden and stuff. It's work. Watch on the hand.
So from what you defined as to what abuse is, what I'm picking up is that it's a certain behavioral pattern change from person A. After now they are in a relationship, then there's a certain behavioral change. Then the other part feels things were not like this when we started, and I feel I'm being jeopardized to what we agreed or what we settled for from the beginning. And now there are a lot of changes in behavioral pattern. I keep on mentioning behavioral pattern from this particular person. And now this to the other person now feels like what were we talking about? Abuse. But so when you meet person A, this is a new person altogether to you. You need to behave in a certain manner to get their attention to you, and you two now are one, and you are in a relationship, you share everything, and everything is fine. But you see, life changes, people change. And when now people become themselves and now have to behave to be their real selves, somebody notices some certain changes in your behavior and they feel like you are now being abusive. And then when they try to question you about certain behavioral change, you mentioned the point, you were now, and with women, their behavior is different. When she's standing there and she's just quiet and you approach her,
silent treatment now, a form of abuse.
Now, when she's here, you sleep, you have sex. They've got this certain armor that they now carry after that sexual encounter. Now, once you are satisfying, that's war. And when now you feel, no, I'm the man here, and I should bring everything to poke and say, no, listen, mama, Indo's hammer got shop. And she feels, no, and abuse them so. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying.
No, I get you.
Why? Because when somebody starts feeling that they're being abused, it's when a certain behavior erupts from what things used to be. Because if they notice that from point A that you're an abusive boyfriend, then they don't go into that relationship.
True. Okay.
It's always after a certain point that they start feeling that no, there's some signs of abuse from this particular person. After you have already started the relationship game and you are in and you feel, but going back, I don't know when we are gonna have our chillers to actually give in an input. We have a situation where now women realize red flags of a boyfriend who is abusive, but they prefer to still stay in the relationship.
Kaloku, I think good difficult ukuphuma kwi-relationship osoyiqalile once sewubona ke ngokuba ngaba normal, you know what up, ku-abusive up. Because now andithi lo mjita okanye your partner has concealed all of the clues about being abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what this thing that I was, you cannot be in a relationship and be yourself. It's impossible if you want to make that relationship work. Because if you are being yourself, it means that you are going to violate some of the things this person doesn't want. Your girlfriend doesn't want to do it away, but when it's something that you like, what happens there?
You mean? How?
Let's say she wants you to drink in the house. Yeah, kokomika, rents, blah blah.
But you see, the other thing is that what usually happens in that instance is that you would have met this particular person in those places.
Yeah, but she's telling you now. No, I went there because it was Refilo's birthday that day. We met there. I don't go to those places. Now she's telling you, no, stop going to those places. I don't like you going to those places. What do you do there?
She's being abusive now.
You see. Then it means when for the well-being of this relationship, you cannot be yourself. You need to adjust some of the things that you're doing for the sake of this person. But now, it may be fair. It may be for your good, for your own good, or whatever the case. But if she's not able to let off some of the things that you don't like, then double standards of because everyone, we as you mentioned, we grow up from different places. There are things that I tolerate. There are things that I don't like. That I tolerate. There are things that I just did fucking no. And understand? When you get into a relationship, that person, you need to teach that person about the things that you don't like. Now, but they are going to teach you about the things that they don't like. And if there's an imbalance, one of you is going to be abusing the other.
But it's not easy so to actually teach and tell yourself, I've taught this person how things should be and how you prefer things to be done. Why? Because we all agreed when we started this podcast that there's a certain phase in the beginning of any relationship where people behave differently so that they accommodate person X so that you get a common understanding. So you need to behave in a certain manner that probably is not really yourself. So that you compromise your behavior, you compromise friends, you compromise your daily routine to accommodate this particular person. But now, when, boom, the relationship is on, we're good. You in a way, get back to your ways. And now somebody will label it abuse. But you think I'm just being myself. You see, so it's also an angle that we should actually revisit and understand. Is it how best can we maneuver when you get to a situation where you've got a certain behavior and behavioral pattern that you think this is how Mzoe has to live their life. You accommodate somebody in your life, you compromise and have life ways happen in a certain manner so that you accommodate them. But now when they are in your life, you think, no, life is rosy, everything is good, we need to do things in this manner. And they feel, no. So, but no, you can't do that. Well, this is abuse. So abuse. And again, you mentioned effectively when you would at some point say, I want to go out with the boys, which is your pattern of life, that at some point. What if he says I want to go out with the girls? Is that still fine?
This is the things. Are you okay with it? If I'm okay with it, then I'm okay with it. We are talking about a case here where it makes you feel uneasy.
But you see, so the thing is, when we allow each other now to do our
as we like,
now should we go and have a girls' night out? In the next thing she says, baby, my phone is on 7% and my switch off. Then the phone definitely switches off. Then he texts you from a friend's phone and say, baby, I'm still here, we're fine. Or send a video.
Okay.
And the next thing, all the phones are dead. And 6 a.m. in the morning, baby,
no, you see where you're coming from, Wayne. You're coming from a point of mistrust, of not trusting, because you are thinking, okay, girls went out, was all girls and whatnot, and things led to the other. You are scared that they may have. You are still operating from a vibration of a low vibration of not trusting that they are going to do something good for the sake of this relationship. You are still have connotations that she must come back home. If she cannot come back home for any reason, your thinking is already on the cheating side. That's where you're going towards.
So that is actually related to abuse, because for somebody to be abusive, it's an act that they start showing up because of certain behavior that they thought.
The thing is, why do you stay with a person that the best way of acting around this, what you're saying, I'm not saying I do it myself, but it would be the ideal situation. This person goes out with their friends, she phones Yafa, she doesn't come back, comes back in the AMs and with a flimsy story. Fine. You are being abused there, okay. Just
abuse,
correct data. No, maybe it's not abuse. What if she's right? At a friend's place. So what you do is collect data about it, keep it at the back of your mind, but just know that you are with a toxic person. Eventually, you will be abused. You are going to become an abuser, or you will be abused. It's either when you protect yourself from the potential abuse that's coming in the future by dissolving the relationship and say, it is what it is, man. I don't think I'm safe with you. And then we voice out hey, behavior yako is uncompromised somehow life. And I don't think you are a trustworthy person. I'm sure you are showing me signs of not being trustworthy.
So all these things are related. And faithfulness, the phone switching off there, getting home at some wee hours of the morning, coming up with a story about whatever happened. We went out with friends. That will have you being paranoid, and you got some insecurities about this particular person. And now with your insecurities, you start behaving in a certain manner, thinking you're trying to correct all these injustices that are happening in your face, not knowing that already you're compromising somebody's freedom, where they think, no, I'm fine, I'm going with friends and all that. You think, no, you win, and I think things should happen in this manner. And you question A, B, C, and they feel, no, why? you're being abusive.
Mm.
And in an end, women will, I don't know if I'm allowed now to say, women will actually respond to you in a certain manner that you might not like, and which will even end up in you now thinking you're punishing them. Then there's now the wife battering, then that's when it comes through. When you think when you straighten out because of insecurities. That's why I'm saying all these things are related.
But Wayne, if anishata nomuntu niyathandana, they still retain some of the freedom for them to make choices in life with regards to relationship, especially if you guys have not promised each other anything. We are in a relationship, we're in love, what? If you haven't spoken about where you guys want to take this relationship, which direction, and sometimes abantu bayazi-abuse in a relationship. When you overcompensate for the shortcomings that you don't like, or for things that you don't like, and then you cut a slack, and then you cut the person a slack, and then baqalise ke ngoku baku-abuse ke ngoku no, he's just a marshmallow, that one. I'm gonna say this, that, some cut and this. Yeah, and then the next thing, we good and whatnot. I know apha botshwa khona kind of vibe, especially amajita. Akhona amajita ubonayo bangaba hey le chat lena lo mjita yamvurvaya mandomeke, and ithi ndicela ufuna into ethile, kwathini demand into ethile, lo mjita bengathi beke umlimp lesemjita angakwazi uyimitha lo requirement ye-cherry, loo nto icela ilo cherry. I-cherry ufika i-cherry ke ngokuyilandika im-actela fani umjita, imnika some kind of a silent treatment of some kind, iphendula loo nto ayithethayo, but ibe i-resulted from that thing. That's a very subtle form of abuse. Lo mntana seyipikile from the guy bangaba lo uza kwenza by all means, uzawuyenza le nto ndiyifunayo, qha ke ngoku ndizamncitsha kwabakulolo. Number 2, andizumfowunela, andizuthini. And then these are subtle forms. You are exerting some kind of you call it a communicator by not talking to me. Sometimes you say something to someone by not talking to them, and then they will know exactly what to do. Sometimes they know that you are mad at them. Sometimes they know that, you know what, I can live without you. You know what? Number 3, I can ndizakubonisa bangaba ndibani ngayi-1 mna, and then njalo, simply because sometimes you stood your ground over something. No man, I don't think this is necessary. From there, ithi cwaka ichiri in the silent treatment. Uzibone ke wena uba wenza njani. You understand? Zikhona nezo amajita bra aya-abuswa a lot, but the kind of abuse that they are getting is not the physical one. It cuts deep in the emotions. It cuts deep in the soul. And sometimes iyakwazi icheri, let's say mhlawumbe umzekelo, bengicela utshintshe le globe, betshilo kum utshintshe le globe. Xa ugqiba loo nto yenza utshintshe le globe, I'm busy doing other things. I forget about that globe. Aphinde undikhumbuza, hayibo le globe akayandifowunele sendiphumile mhlawumbe ndiyothenga something. Hayibo le globe ayitshintshwanga, uthe uzayitshintsha le globe. Noma nje ndayilibala, ndizayenza ubuya kwami. Ndiyabuya xa ndifika apha, nangu uyobiza uWayne apha next door. uWayne ubhizi utshintsha iglobe apha endlini. Xa ndingena and uWayne ubizwe just at the time I'm supposed to be uqonda uyabuya usendleleni ebuya, mandinkqonkqoze phaa next door ndiyobiza uWayne. Wayne bengicela uzotshintsha le globe. Uyaziwa ndizawungena apha, ndizawungena uWayne ebhizi etshintsha iglobe apha. Then that way what's being communicated here is that no, Mzo, you are useless. Number 1. Number 2, I cannot rely on you. You are unreliable. Number 3, I can find other means of doing this thing by myself. So that is a very subtle form of abuse, and something deep is being communicated, it's not physically painful, but it cuts deep into my soul and it cuts deep into my emotions. That Denzo is just a useless guy in the house. And this happens sometimes indoda, especially at Buke Waithet, indoda xa ingaphangeli. I think we need to do a topic on a guy that is not making money, okanye indoda engaphangeliyo and ibe icheri iphangela. Sometimes abantu ababhinqile bayakwazi ukwenza i-square ball. Let's say umuntu uyicouple leni nabantwana. Indoda iphangeli kuphangela umfazi. Athi umfazi ashouta abantwana. Ushouta abantwana akashouti wena ndoda.
Fine notatakho.
No? Yeah, square ball. Kushaya square ball apha. Ha, into yaziyo. Noneke amasende apha. Kwathini anenza into kwathi bla 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 don. Okanye sometimes afike engenzanga loo nto leyo, engashawutanga, engathini, angabethanga ezo square balls zinjalo, afike Julie back pha. Umtshayelo. Afika azotshayela kule ndawo hleli kuyo. Qala apha umtshayelo. Kuyatshawa wena ubhizi ubukela i-TV. Ubukela i-program, ubukela inantsika isagazi of couplehood TV. Mane uzotshayela. Thatha iglasi ezibudlanti ubusela kuzo okanye ubutyela kuzo, ahambe uzihlamba, qunjiwe ebusweni. Something is being communicated with you. You are being abused, and then you are not being treated like an adult. You are being treated like a child. That's another abuse. That's a subtle form of abuse that a lot of people don't speak about. Not the physical one. I want us to refrain from the physical abuses, the normal abuses, but the subtle abuses that happen, bruh.
Oh, mouthful.
Good tough out there.
No, I've just been thinking of something. My explainer, you're going to explain that. In my experience and a bit of understanding and research, social media and all that, I haven't come across a situation where imali right and there's everything in the house and there's one of the two claiming they are being abused. If imali right, mama is driving the latest BMW, Uputi and driving whatever, they're staying, Cockham's Bay, everything is fine. Kids going to the most expensive schools. But every show, guys, Banbani, they are there, money is there. You don't get any abuse reports from such families. There's nothing like abuse.
Yeah. Wait,
so is there never an abusive act whenever a family has some financial stability? There's no.
That's it. That's a very beautiful observation when away, because what I'm getting from what you're saying is that this means then a lack of resources sometimes can contribute to abuse in a relationship, because your partner becomes the punching bag. By punching bag for some of the things that are not happening correct in your life. As a result, you get frustrated at them. And then now they get frustrated at you. And then it's a very good observation in a way in what you're bringing up. I think in those couples where there's money, then it means that there's less frictions. They've got few things to be mad at each other about.
To actually add on to what you're saying now is 3 years back, COVID. What was the other name? COVID or what? COVID. It was
pandemic.
It was COVID or what? It was called COVID or what was the other name, man?
What do you mean?
COVID. The COVID. Corona and COVID-19. Boom. We were told companies are closed. We're not going to work. Some of us lost our jobs. And for a good 3 months or so, people were not working. Now, it's you and your woman in the house. 9-9. You're relaxing and from there you have a beer, come back drunk and you just sleep. It's you and your woman from XN. You're not working, nothing. there was a lot of divorce and everything happening in that period. I don't know if you managed to get those stats. You see, where I'm trying to relate, Lendoba, when there's no financial stability in a relationship or in a home, it constitutes a lot to people having to extents where they now have differences, and one feels they're being shortchanged, and they feel it's an abuse, and they have to be depart from some understanding of a relationship. Because now you are just sitting there as Utata, and everybody expects you to fend for the family, and there's nothing you could do. The economy is not allowing. We have flatting Claremont. You cannot now afford a 7,500 rand flat. You have to move to Mfulen to go and stay in a 2,000 rand or 1,500 rand room.
A downgrade.
That's a
major
downgrade.
downgrade.
And you will be lucky if you're going to have a woman who is going to understand that downgrade. And we were just talking of a situation that happened because we had a pandemic, but this can happen any other time. This can happen any other time. I mean, you lose your job, or you feel I need to study further, and these studies will take so much from my earnings. I need to do a downgrade. I need to move to a smaller house. And your partner might not understand why such move, and they start behaving in a certain manner. Why? Because why are you now this Mzo who is downgrading to this? And they start some behavior which you will actually label somebody is now being, what are we talking about?
Abusive
being
in a
abusive.
relationship.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Another angle that I want us to look at this is, all the time, an abuser does not see themselves as an abuser. It's always, the window is open only, the window to see the abuse is only open to the person that is being abused. It's I don't know if I'm making sense here, but sometimes my brain is faster than my mouth. My mouth it lets me down. But the point that I'm trying to say is that for an abuse to qualify as an abuse, any act or any activity or act, in order to qualify, it must make someone
uncomfortable.
So that's why we know ukuthi isihlangu siviwa silinyawo bangaba kubhlungu. Isihlangu it's continuing to be isihlangu as normal. Eyoba ke si kubhlungu sisincinci siyapitcha siviwa linyawo. So I'm trying to say that the low abuse wayo, it's sometimes ivela payana, but if that person is very quiet about what they want, okay, they don't voice out how they feel, then that window is closed. Nobody knows about it. A lot of times we see couples walking about there to so and so and umuntu wakhe uyaziwa umuntu wakhe abasathandani nconywe ndundundundundun yabona bantu baqomba bakumzekelo. They don't know what's happening in the bedroom. They don't know what's happening in the closed doors. And ngenzeka baphana people pull up a face and whatnot. So my encouraging, what I'm trying to say here is to encourage to say the very first person that needs to know your discomfort is the person that is causing the discomfort. Communicate it in so many ways, with sign language, with any other language, with however that you want to do, to say that, look, so-and-so, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with this. If they are a toxic person, they are not going to stop what they are doing. They are not going to reason with you. If they show willingness to reason with you, sometimes you're making them aware. Maybe they were not aware that they are abusing. Can you understand?
So I always give examples of how life was before things turned out to be what it is today, was everything else that we're experiencing today exactly as it is today? Did our grandfathers and our grandmothers experience it exactly as we are experiencing it today?
Okay. Let me just be. Yeah, I wanted to.
I'm getting to something,
and I'll get back to you. I nearly interrupted there, but I wanted to say that things change, and sometimes when you change, when you tweak something to change for the better, the ripple effect makes other things change as well. By saying that is that when you sound as if you wanted things not to change, change is inevitable. When things don't change, you must be worried. Right now, we've got women enjoy freedoms that they never used to enjoy back in the day.
No. Wait. Before I forget.
Okay.
I agree. There has to be a change, and change is inevitable. Like we used to have those phones, now we have a cell phone. We used to have donkey cars, now we have cars. But now
we need to adjust our brains to accommodate the change.
But now, from the Stone Age, am I going too far? But from the Stone Age coming down to the 70s, 80s, there was a certain behavioral pattern that did not change when it comes to this abuse, relationships, and all that. Things started getting worse in the 21st century. I mean, things were fine before our time. Like things just got out of the way now in the 21st century. Like from the Stone Age. In Stone Age, we're talking about the 1600, 1700 coming down. Things I don't know. Things seem to be fine.
Wait. Those people had different challenges to deal with, and then every time you conquer a certain challenge, this means that humanity is less one problem that it doesn't have to deal with. Therefore, it's moving to newer heights consciously.
So, taking what your response, you agree with me that things have changed. Things are not.
Of course.
So okay,
things have changed. I didn't dispute that. That 100%, I agree with you. But change is inevitable. If you don't go with it, you are going to be left behind. You are going to be bitter. You are going to the world is not going to. It's just not going to be for you. For example, I once read a story once on Open Idea. There was this other challenge. How can we as people integrate? Because technology grows so fast, how can we integrate elderly people to understanding technology? Technology makes things fast like this. You go to a mall, very huge mall. You go to a certain screen there, and then you finish shop it till you click there. It is up by situated down. You tell about mover from PR. Tell me again, and a 70-year-old and 80-year-old person, osaqakwe phone le utilile ongakwazi ufaka airtime utilile. We are a mall. So the world is not being designed backwards to accommodate those who are left behind. The world wants to catch up with who is catching up in the future. As a result, when if you don't catch that very first bus, catch the very next one so that it tries to catch up. Otherwise, once you are left behind, you are left behind.
So abuse money.
The way they are going to deal with even Joango. Yeah, that I like what you're saying. They are going to see other things that we never saw. Right now, it's easy to hear a person talking about, why are you gaslighting me?
What is gaslighting?
You see that? You see that? Even that term. Everyone now is talking about these things. Why are you being toxic? Let's say I ask my mother, and I'm saying, "Hi, lady, why are you toxic?" She's not gonna even know what the fuck I'm trying to say. The only term, if they know it, if she knows it, she will know that toxins, it's something poisonous that got into a substance, and it's gonna be very granular for her. She's not gonna understand it in a behavioral form, toxicity. You understand? So we awaken to newer things all the very time. So the more, that's why I was saying when I went, the more we let go, we conquer something else. Our consciousness is awoken. Okay, slung. Becomes awake to a newer form now, where it needs to navigate towards. I cannot see a person in 1940 talking about gaslight. At that time, people were busy about war. It was about war. It was about mines and everything. People were dealing with different challenges.
What's gaslight?
As soon as we...
What was gaslight? Did you explain it?
I didn't explain it, but you'll Google it. Let's stick to the point here. The point right here, okay, before deviating, right now, I think we are Wayne. We are aware with subtleties now, finer ways of being abusive than just the physical one. The physical one may be easy to pick and to deal with. Kuthiwe hayi yo umuntu wami uyabetha uzandibetha okanye uthi ubhizi uthandana nechair apho qho xa ilandike xa uyibuzwa hayi ichithe let's say mhlawumbe igile iglass yakho yewine yachitheka xa uyijonga usithi ithi kaloku iqhele uwayini odla uyibetha ithi eqonda ba idla nikwimayifo faka mvemba shaka. Do you understand? So that one, it's easy to deal with. Kuthiwe uyabetha ubani abizelwe abantu kuthiwe makuthethwe naye uyandibetha uyathini. And that leads to another form of abuse. When ubizelwe, okay, chere yakho ubizelwe brother bayo nomalume bayo kuziwe kuwe kuzothethwa nawo nomntana one blue eye kwathini ndondondondon kwayiboniwa akakwazanga uphangela because uye waqhwatywa nguwe le glass yakho yewine uzothethiswa wena. After uthethisiwe abahambe omalume xa behambile omalume, you are going to act okay. You are not going to beat her again because you know utyimbiselwe umnwe ngomalume but next time this thing happens, what's going to happen here is uzasuhambe oniyonxila act funny apha da. You see, now you've moved from one form of abuse to another form of abuse now. And then ne-talk yakho apha endlini xathiwa uthi hayi kaloku uba ngathethi into encinci hayi kaloku wena ngulo umbizele oomalume bakho xa nisengxakini. Wena you are trying to now you're manipulating and you're backlashing that thing back towards her ukuthi this thing wenza kube toxic apha endlini simply because she tried to correct you instead of you udanele isono sakho okanye the change. Ewe omalume bakhe, they are not going to bring a change in you. Naye angakhala thina akazubringa a change in you. The change must come from the self. Uzixelele bangaba, no, you know what, I want to do something good for this person, and that doing something good for that person, you are not doing it for that person, for your girlfriend. You are doing it for yourself. When you do something good for your girlfriend, you are not doing it for her. You are doing it for yourself, for the love that you have for her. Otherwise, we don't judge ourselves largely, especially in the way that when you do something for someone, that's why you feel like sometimes that person owes you. That person doesn't owe you. No. When you do something for someone, do it for yourself. Put yourself in the shoes of that person and saying, let me help myself here by helping this person.
Okay, so to interject, okay, I was talking to some other guys and they were just commenting on the podcast here too, and they were saying at times we guys raise certain topics and we talk about them, and we talk about situations that probably that we have gone through or situations that other people have gone through, but we never get to a point where we talk about how best we can maneuver when somebody is in a particular situation. So now, maybe I'd like to bring a platform where I would say, how best can somebody behave if they feel now this relationship is being toxic, this relationship is being abusive? Besides deciding to pack your stuff and leave, how should one?
How best?
Yeah, how best is.
All right. Now, my recommendations would be that something isiXhosa kwinto ethi esiXhoseni isilonda siphola ngokuchanjuzwa. That this means that if you have a wound and then every time you squeeze it, you need to squeeze it so that the pus comes out. That way it's going to heal. Sizophola eso silonda eventually. Otherwise, if scaling all that, it will take a long time it will become septic at times. So my point is, if something is not being put up in the surface, then we don't know what we're dealing with. Don't keep quiet for too long for something that you are not happy about. And don't bring something that you're not happy about ngexesha unomsindo ngalo, because you're going to say things that you're going to regret, or uzaba too aggressive. And then how aggressive is our invoker defense from the other person. And kulula sometimes ubonakala njengomuntu orongo when you stand for your rights. Umuntu akugaslight ukhawuleze ubonakala engathi umuntu orongo wena. Kodwa ibinguye ubususwe yinto ethile. People sometimes don't calm themselves down and say, okay, I've got this. Okay, maybe it should happen from the instant you notice. If not, then you are going to have a lot of work to do in order to say, you were okay with this for the past 2 years. Why now? Maybe you were compromising for that past 2 years. So my point is, take something and put it on the table, not yeah, it works sometimes. Abantu but thetha ngetone esezantsi. Sometimes people don't dispute your facts. They dispute your attitude. When you are angry, then they become defensive and don't open up.
Did we agree that patterns of abuse show their signs when now you are in the middle of saying siyathandana yonke into right, and now
uvele ubunjubaka ke ngoku
angizwa
kaloku uyavela ubunjubaka
yeah
after some time hey inje mboqo manje lenthandana
yabona. And now I'm trying to now understand lento ishoyo ukuthi, but it's not going to be easy now, because you and I have perpetuated yourself to be this particular being, and now chiki somebody behaves in a certain manner, and now it's not going to be easy to wake up one morning and say puti into as because when you are this type of person and things have turned out to be way different from how things were supposed to be, or how things were all the time. It's not going to be easy. And for you to now wake up and say, I don't know what you just said now, and now you want to wake up and tell your partner that, no, you want things to happen this way. You couldn't say that on day one.
You discuss with the person, you don't tell them.
Well, so there's no discussion that is going to be done about how things are supposed to be.
People should show each other perspective. Let me show you. Let me show you my thoughts about a certain thing. I'm not telling you what to do about it. This is how I'm thinking. How do you think? Sometimes you think you are right, but you are wrong. You're bold enough to say, let's talk about this.
So love is different from a deep business transaction where you say, hey, love is just something else different. Love is when then things happen. When we were talking about men who lost their house to a woman, why? Because
I remember
he used the man's credentials to get a bond. It's because of how love
people use it makes you gullible.
Blindfolds you, and you think everything is happening and is happening in the right direction. So let's rule out this fact when you sit down with somebody and tell them, no, I want things to happen. Hey, but you want to act like Mugabe now.
No. Look, in the there was that saying that wise men say only fools fall in love. It's actually true. In order for you, if ufuna ulasta, funeka uyibeke emthunzini. Clever abafana nomzonga abangazulasta because they scrutinize everything. What is this? What the fuck is going on here? And then you are pinpointing, you are showing them how wrong they are. Ubabekele a scientific formula, and then answering in negative numbers. Do you see how wrong you are by -20? You are wrong by -20. The point I'm trying to say
that's
is,
why I would this one.
Yar, sikhumbula omnye umjita enye ifriend yami uvaka balisa ngenye ifriend yakhe ba ePE. Ifriend yakhe le cherry lena icala icherry ngama-cherry aziyi-friends. So omnye besithi yo boyfriend yami iyabuya eMonti izabe ilapha ekantikeni izapha kumi izonibona. Abanye kudala besisho bana hamba uthi ne-boyfriend aside siyibona. So umjita uzinike i-chance wayapha. Qa ngelishwa ke ngulo wafika le cherry ingekho. Wadibana nezi i-friends ezinye friends zamovaka bahamba bawuphila ke ngoku benza yonke lo mjita that day afika ngayo, then wahamba bamthatha xa benxelile bawumlalise kwiflat yale cherry. Icherry ayikho yona ihambile. So icherry ibuya ne-friends zayo. I-friends zayo sidala siva ngalo bani wakho kwathi bazombona nalo excited ngathi ababuyi kule ndaba babuyi. So ngabe beyenza kwenza shopping or whatever the case. So but the fact is kuqala kungene i-friends eflatini xa unika izitshixo uphatha iplastic kwathi zingene i-friends zaphuma zithe umjita unxile wafika wakhulula wahamba ngexesha bamshiya phala amajita khulula wahamba ngaze ulele ebhedini ifondini uthe okuitshomi zakhe utipile izitshomi zalo mntana ngena amasenda ngaphandle amasenda ngaphandle ye lo mntana uxa fika yo zangabe embarrassed la mntana wafika wamgxotha wathi hayi buyele eMonti. Uvuka kanafana wathi akhwela uhambe embarrasse kanje kwitshomi zakhe. Tshomi zakhe zibone yonke amagqenene ngaphandle.
Uyabuse
No, but
uyabuse lo mntana uright emgxotha lo mjita uyabuse. Hayi umjita urelaxile phela
ungafika uhambe ngaze apha uneka amatrabana. Hayi. No, so and lose the train we still like the point we thetha kanjani no till lose i-trail yayo but a lot of people are staying in the relationships because this relationship is all I know. We started so long when I was young with so and so. andinawukwazi umyeka ngoku. Sometimes even that investment, when we turn to investment, sometimes a man is invested so much in a relationship. Therefore, does that mean mawunyamezele abuse simply because of all of that investment and all of that time you spent in there? Maybe something
so
good.
Now we are
escalating
to something else different. That's something else different. Abuse is on its own. Abuse. Then somebody just leaves and say, no, he'll enter the abuse. Then we have this person. Okay, we mentioned that we're not talking about abuser. It could be her abusing the guy. And now, if you talk about that's now in escalation to something else different. What prompts them to think when they're fine in an abusive relationship? So at the end of the day, I'm an abuser, but they are stuck in that relationship.
This guy is all I know. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's get a perspective. Thank you, Wayne. Sorry, guys. All right. Let's hear what bathini apha. Phansinda libala. All right.
Akho mntu mama onoze abethwe ngumntu ongutata kungekho nto enzekayo provoking iso inemena wena tata ozoyifihla kuyo ilimit yam no ngoku ndifishi lapho ndibabonele kanyanzeleka manthini. Firstly, now size ukwazi point ezithethayo akho mntu entitled to that.
Yes.
Yabona
That's called forceful.
Abasibangaka indoda most of the time imatcha masithi normal so masisi no imatcha nomuntu kwi lesser age.
That's
because it's not because of uzokulisha part, it's because of the experience yakho. Then and when you understand somehow ke bayathetha mhlawumbe athi hayi wena ebheji yenza excited kwenza ba yabo but in essence ufasa ba amkele ba akamngqondo wena
awunangqondo wena. Masiqale kule point yokugqibela. Yabona, sometimes umuntu wakho sethe uthi lo bhuti ne, sometimes umuntu obhinqileyo, yabona kwakule point athi ngoku xa kwazi ukuthi ngoku umatcha nomuntu obhinqileyo or younger than you,
which is normal,
which is normal. Sifikele kule point yokuthi awunangqondo wena. And understand, these are the subtleties that I want to talk about. Thetha nje na casual na kanjani kuwe. I'm not saying angangathethi na kanjani, but there must be a level of respect. That's what I think he's tapping into.
No, but you're actually skipping
the first part.
Yes,
I'm starting with the last part so that we go to the first one. The first one uthi akho mntu usuka abethe nje, akho ndoda nosuka ibethe nje umuntu obhinqile nje,
which
just like that.
I think
but
is very true.
Okay, before you endorse it, I want to say, why do people all the time when they talk about abuse, beteta or better? It's not the only abuse. It's just the visible abuse, but I don't think it has a depth bigger than emotional abuse.
So some of the other abuses that we might label, they are not so visible or physical. Or maybe people can tolerate them.
No, this is the thing. That is the problem. No amount of abuse must be tolerated, especially if it messes up with your mental health. Then a person fucks you up more than they would have if they just beat you physically in Bama. Is a polar Bama and she has sustained like abusive lendolin. But what about one that messes up with your mental health?
So there's some forms of abuse that can be accommodated because of circumstances.
No, wait, no. Zero.
You know why
zero abuse must be tolerated.
You know why I'm saying that? Let's go back to the viewers. Why some abuses might be. Let's go to.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This will answer my.
We'll answer what you're saying, but we haven't engaged in what this guy is saying. Akondoda better buza uphefumula akho nto ndibethe umuntu obhinqileyo nje nanjani na.
Yeah, exactly. Then when you crushed my point about why should we tolerate at any point?
No, kaloku uthi kaloku mna andifuni uthethe le nto in public uba saying ezinye i-kinds of abuse ziyatolerateka. No.
This is a man coming at 4 a.m. at home.
Zero tolerance.
This is a man coming at 4 a.m. at home and oh mama, no one is watching. The guy drives through the house. He goes in, he sleeps. But the partner feels, this guy, where are you coming from at 3 a.m., 4 a.m.? That's abuse already when you had put the vows, she satisfied too. But now she feels no one has to be involved in this. Right? At least
no, yes. Here's my take on it. Here's my take on it, Wayne. Once you tolerate these subtle abuses, these things are a prelude, summary, abstracts, okanye zingamaqalela of the bigger abuse. Then it build up. That's why I'm saying there should be zero tolerance even nakuzo, so that zinga lead up to the major visible abuses.
Be careful when you want to mention and want to endorse zero tolerance when it comes to abuse or differences in the relationships.
Zero.
Ukushada okwamanje is not something that is easy.
Why?
Akekho umuntu oshadayo manje.
Why?
Manje mawuthola umuntu ukuthi uyakushada and when you want to say there's zero tolerance, there's zero tolerance. Hey, uzohlala uwedwa ke for the rest of your life. Why? Because you need to compromise at some point.
No. Yeah. You know Wayne, immoral fabric yabantu now has deteriorated. People don't stick to morals anymore, and then it's normalized.
We agree.
It's normalized now that people should be immoral.
You brought that fact that things have changed and we should adhere to how the world is moving. Things have changed.
Correct.
In the stone age, it's now internet, it's now Wi-Fi. You mentioned that, and we should adjust to the order of the day.
At some point, we spoke about that open relationship shit. That we okay. Let's get to this because
right.
I think now this
before
is sparking something else.
Before you play that,
okay,
we were talking about this guy saying, "I ndoda nje izovele from nowhere," and we later on went to the fact that we have people who settle for some form of abuse because of certain reasons that they want to cover up whatever they are covering up. And they feel, let me rather stay in this abusive relationship because probably abantu bazothini or trying to protect whatever that has happened to them before, and they feel having themselves stuck to this situation that they are in is better than going somewhere else where they're not sure. Like that term, the devil is better than the angel that you don't know. So, Sizoyagupi. Money.
This one. Started here. Okay, just a second, guys. Okay. That's actually powerful. Which one I fast? Sifuni mali. And then but wekufuneka kwabi imali. Yintoni le ibangela ilide to inantika abuse?
We try.
Yilento kwenza ube ngathi entitled to abuse the other person simply because you've given them money.
We have mentioned this before when I'm Osi. I've said it to you before.
Uyageza wena.
Mina the podcast presenter and guess. One thing that everything.
I'm putting you on the spot.
One thing that everything, and when you think, man, damn this, then they feel like they own you. That term again, they feel like they own you. And when they own you, and I should do as I wish because you belong to me. Yabona? Nanku lo esithi we don't worry about anything. Sifuna imali umzwile musisho.
Ndimvile mna nasinenye iclip maske singene kule nayo I think.
Ima, yazi to ask girls imali everything. Nowadays everything to us.
Sure.
Money is everything.
To us nowadays, money is everything. Basically, she's endorsing the fact that whatever form of abuse can come, but as long as kuko imali, I can settle for it.
Yeah, actually, there is that clip. There is that clip that says exactly that.
Mna ningahlala kwi-abusive relationship
Because
as long
of
as
imali.
kuko imali.
No, but awucingi weni bangaba mhlambi inento kwenza ne-state of now we are compromising on our well-being simply because of the state of the country and lack of money. People are in poverty, there are no jobs, there's nothing. Therefore, people resort to means that are compromising in order to make a living.
Bra, kukufeba lo.
All right. Okay.
So
okay.
we're not gonna win this. Why? Because I mentioned the previous podcast about monetizing, and you corrected me. Is it monetizing and monetizing? Everything in the world is being monetized. Yabona? Wena ungaba indoda elungileyo ehlala emkhukwini eDelft. Then Sunday uvuza umfazi wakho uthi masambe nisiye ecaweni sithini. Akazi ukurespecta umfazi that much as compared to how she will give a respect to a guy who is in Parklands ozavuka esithi masambe siyenze Sunday chill kuthengwe iHennessy bahlale bathini. When as much as you try to be moral and be the proper man and the proper husband, awunayo imali. Rather than you abuse wapha kula ndawo but sitting in a Range Rover and kuthengwe iHennessy and sends Instagram photos and Facebook photos and life goes on. Which I support, probably because things are happening, you're having the time of your life, you grind. My only issue probably will be that it always ends in tears when life seems to be all rosy and it's drinking champagne and it's Hennessy and it's all rosy. It can never be like that. I guess there's gonna be a point where they feel enough of this. They want something else different, and you become a victim. You definitely become a victim. And with women with their lack of men who've got things and men who've got the rand and men who are there and do the gushy and everything, that type of man, I think every other girl likes that particular man. And we always have a new feed of women. Years back we had them in the 80s, then we had them in the 90s, then we had them in 2000. So abantu bayaphelelwa with as time goes on. And where your time might end and there's somebody else, and then there isn't that attention that you got when you got you in this inception of you coming to life and having yourself with this particular person.
And being not relevant anymore.
You become irrelevant and back or laws are managed by behavior and you don't understand why. Abuse. But it's you who started this whole thing like as long as into the right. We are peaceful relationship.
Okay. True.
Come on. And a man who is ready to go out of their way to impress you and make sure you're good with whatever that they have at that particular point, so that everything is fine and somebody's in halal. But okay, when push comes to shove, you say it, when the world evolves, it turns around, there's new things, there's new life. Then there's a new introduction of a new thing altogether. And when you are shake again a pan and you so go also so pada go Facebook amadoda sizinja. Ebona mna mawachis amadoda. No, let me rather date umfazi. You know.
Yes, the way England uthethayo, something comes to mind. Okay, uthi lo sisi pha ufuna imali, and as long as angahlala kwi-abusive relationship, as long as kukho imali. IsiXhosa sithi imali ayisosifombo. Yasazi isifombo.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I was going to ask you.
Isifombo i-hatchback yabo into ozalwe.
Oh, la nto.
Kuthiwa imali ayisosifombo.
But
Iyaphela.
I think when we get 20th episode of this, I've been expert of IsiXhosa. So, okay.
Kuthiwa imali ayisosifombo ke iyaphela. Isifombo asipheli, that thing doesn't end. But unfortunately imali iyaphela. So wena uhleli kule relationship because of imali. Xa le ndoda engasenamali ke ngoku ushekele ntoni? Uhlelele le relationship i-abuse yodwa ke ngoku. Le ndoda ayizu-understand uba uyishiyela ntoni ke ngoku because ubuhleli apha inemali. Ngoku ayisenamali ufuna uhamba. Wena andithi your very first thing ozathi uyishiyela yona le ndoda uzathi hayi ndikushiyela uba uyani-abuse uyandibetha. Ithi le ndoda no man kudala ndikubetha for the past 10 years nje. Ungazange wandishiya. Thina uzandishiya ngoku because imali imkile uhlelele imali. So i-abuse ayizuphela, imali iyaphela. So you'd rather stay
imali yaphela at some point.
Iyaphela at some point. And indoda engaku-abusiyo, let's say akakho abusive weni, aqhakana mali, it doesn't mean that uzawuhlala engenamali all the time. So the best way for people that I would advise, find love first, find a person that you're comfortable with, whether they have got money or not, then work with something that is going to last for a very long time. Because, lady, that beautiful face of yours and that beautiful body is not going to stay for too long. You hit the age 40, you want this is where you reap the benefits of love and respect from a person. Because if you don't invest in those, you are investing in money, that money is going to be gone. You are going to be left with that abuser of yours.
But it's fumble. I actually have a story.
It's fumble.
I know of a story of his fumble.
When you tell me, you know, I was a theater lady, kuthiwa qhela uqhatha izifombo uthi mazinyuke eliweni zizokoluleka zibe straight. Shit.
That's another one. But if not, I know of these two friends. Only one wine is formed, okay? And the other one did not have a leg. So they would love to go and chill at this drinking hall. And lo is form, but we are all right. Then lo agana. Then bang that son again. Nobody want us to see us together. But it's all right. Every day. So one day they passed through a grave. Then I don't know whatever happened, but Kwafi is poor watching again. When they got home, they discovered the nobody is form. Akasena is form. I wonder. Then when they got home, low being and that's where's form. But hey, bro, check. Hey, man, there's something that happened. Now I'm good now.
Good.
Then low.
They come in and call it.
I didn't know. I'm pa. So I want to make sure maybe those guys, there's some magic that is happening there. What it get up at? But man, go a lobo hamana love can walk in this form for sack. Now this form of some can walk. So lena manje ayisanamlenze inesifombo.
Double barrel. Yes.
Yeah, where are we?
Yeah, okay.
139.
Let's close. Let's do we have one more clip to play? I think there was one, and we didn't engage much with the
Bafunima.
Uchi Lona, I think Lobe City.
That's the name of the podcast. But I'm not going to then take my name.
If you want to, if you go to the what you want to be a Tanda?
Very good one. Yes. Once someone is to the Tanda or the Terera. We're going to have to do a song.
But it goes both ways. Not only nendoda xa ibonile uba ngaba icherry iyamthanda umjida wenza nje wenza carelessly.
Yeah, but basho abantu abadala wazithi abantu abadala onje in general bathi you should fall in love with somebody you feel ukuthi uyakuthanda more than wena, then the relationship izoba balanced. Or no,
As a guy or
they
as a
say
woman.
bathi shada umuntu omonayo ukuthi yena uyakuthanda more, then your marriage is going to be from both sides. But from women's side, shada indoda uyibone ukuthi engathi ihlanya ngami. So then your marriage is assured, izoba settled.
Kaloku uza kuvurvaya mosa kwenze yonke le lantsika. Ohlobo atsho ngalo lo sister bangaba. Once umbone ba uyakulandika, then uyam-abuser ke ngoku.
Yeah, so
well, I think in closing words is that a lot of times I don't think people get stuck with the people that they love. According to what I'm seeing lately, it's just that people feel like they must be with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, they are choosing. Also, remember, it depends. The person that you are going to get stuck with, it depends on where you are. If you're not in Spain, you're not gonna get a Spanish woman. If you're not in Italy, you're not going to get an Italian woman. You're in South Africa.
Why do you want to be stuck with somebody in life?
That's
when you grew up alone, you were alone in your mother's womb. You were born alone. You grew up alone. Why do you want to be stuck with somebody?
This is good. That's good. That's a topic for another day. Because why are we pressured to be with someone? A lot of people feel like their lives is not going normally if they are not with anyone, and we put each other under pressure to have someone, to be in a relationship, to have you understand? And therefore we tend to compromise sometimes because of time, because of the place where you are. You are only limited with your choices. Exposed. You are exposed to certain people, therefore you need to choose from what you're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, your choices are very limited to what is being on offer. And you choose your poison from what you have. But now, whether you are going to be stuck with that person or whether you are going to be toxic to each other depends on your ability to compromise and that person's ability to compromise, and you guys try to reach a mutual understanding. Otherwise, there will be a whole lot of toxicity and troubleshoot. I know too many relationships. Every week, there's something new that they are struggling with in terms of their personalities. I'm tired of watching these days of our lives. Masbugele National Geographic. These trivial things.
But you see, it's just something that came into my mind now. Sorry, man, we're supposed to close now, but It's just something that came into my mind now. All our topics are about how all of a sudden, people in their old age decide to say, "Ndifuna ukuhlala nomuntu," or "Ndizojola nomuntu," and they have differences. That's when you have umjolo uyakunyisa. That's when you have u-ex ungasolveki. That's when you have visit fat and search. That's where you have we were talking about today abuse. It's because it's you in your mental state growing up. You are alone, and now you're trying to involve somebody in your life who you don't know how and where they are coming from and how they were raised, but because you're attracted to them or because of how they've behaved towards you and what they do to you, and you feel this is the person I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life. This is a feeling that you get out of what they've how they behave towards you, and you feel this is the person I think I should be with for the rest of my life. But you forget that this person is a way different person from you. He probably was just raised with a father and no mother, or with a mother and no father, and was raised in Guguletu and not Camps Bay, and maybe in Cape Town and not Tsofimvaba. And at some point, you need to get some common understanding because you like each other and you feel we should be together for the rest of their lives. And you act in a certain manner to accommodate them and behave in a certain manner so that things work because you want it to work, because you want to be with this person. But as there are realities about life, and people will behave as who they are somehow. Like in my language, there's a term where they say
we have insecurities that are rooted from where we come from.
In my language, there's a term where they say, like you wouldn't have a dove behaving at he sparrow and stuff like that. It remains a dove. So this person somehow will come out their true colors about and behave their in their way. Whereas if uzoba nemali la mntu uzodwangusa
efekiswa ile mpandla
ngela xesha unxibe ikepsi yahansi.
Joe Wayne, the way we chathayo lena ifana ngohlobo. Let me put this analogy out there just before we close. Ifana nalento andithi usiwacofa imvaba wena omnye usuka entontoni Mount Fletcher or whatever the case, badibana to make one thing. Take yourself as you're making a shopping in a supermarket. You are pushing a trolley, you're picking all of the things that you like. You're shopping. You've been shopping for the past 21 years. Nansi trolley yakho inazo zonke izinto uzifunayo. Ezinye umane uzikhupha uphinde ufake ezinye. Now you're meeting someone else. That person naye has been shopping, putting things etrolini yakhe and whatnot, and ususe ezinye afake ezinye. Lo mntu lona uzayopheka endlini yakhe, uyazazi imenu, unemenu afuna uyozipheka, afuna uthini, irecipe ezithile afuna uyozenza, uyozitry ezinye. Now unezakho irecipe. Then you meet each other and we're like, look, I think I'm attracted to you. Why don't we sidibanisa igrocery yethu push grocery A1. You'll see where I'm getting at. And then now a new relationship, when you are in a relationship, this is where you are starting a new trolley now. You are putting something in the new trolley, in the third trolley, in the new one now that you're going to push together. Things that work for the both of you. Then things that work only for you, you leave them in that other trolley. Dine allergy to mozzarella cheese. Ikhona pa afika ikhuphe ingabikho apha le relationship. Now dine allergy to tuna. Ituna mayingabikho apha. Then now uzama ukuhlanganisa. So in order for this to work, we only gonna take common things that accommodate the two of us. imagine that trolley being the personality now. Some of the things that you have within you must be lost in order to accommodate this person. But what augments this problem more is that you've offloaded that trolley with all of the things that are liked by you and Wayne. And now you have one trolley, you're pushing this trolley.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere, somehow, things don't work out. Sibongopiyane sikumzonga ngapha sizothandana nawe ngokuhlukene noWayne. Etrolini yakho nento ezifunwa nguWayne. Some of the things that ebezifunwa nguwazisekho ngokule trolley yakho. Umzofu ekazofaka into zakhe apha. Wena funeka uluze some of the things ebezifunwa nguWayne yedwa qondayo ba accommodate, but they shouldn't have been there from the first place. This is the intertwined thing that happens. A person falls in love with you, Wayne, and then an abuse that they got from Umzo, they are so vigilant about it. Therefore, when you are subjected to all of that toxicity that came from the previous
relationship. That's why
the
city in the next generation we need a transfer letter from
the previous relationship. But this has been very mouthful, Wayne. I hope we threw out a whole of good nuggets. And it's not over from here, but I just hope that people look in the mirror, when a guy, when a lady. And another thing that we didn't talk about because of time, I wonder if people in the same sex relationships, they experience the same kinds of abuses as in the heterosexual kind of relationships. It would be interesting to know, okay, simply because, sometimes you're because of your poor hygiene. Sometimes you get toilet, come and you pay so when it's a lady and a lady that are in love, maybe those things are out of the way, so the friction is a bit less. And then they tend to understand more of each other, and then the visitors that come are largely women. If I'm staying here with a girlfriend, the chances are the visitors will be guys that come to me. The visitors will be girls that come for her. So somehow, I don't understand. Maybe that there's that side. Maybe there's lesser abusiveness in that regard. I don't know.
I feel you.
Humanity is becoming very complex, very complicated.
But anyway, it has been a fruitful discussion of Planjet. Thank you for affording yourself. So we like the last point that you mentioned, man. Yeah, I really like it about the trolleys. Me shopping that, I shop that. Then later on we decide, no, let's abandon these two. Let's shop it. That's a very valid one. I'll use it throughout my life. Namhlanje, it was abuse. What is abuse, and why are women abused, and why do some of the women settle for abuse? We had some of them mentioning that they do have to settle for abuse. Why? Because if economically, maybe people have to compromise and settle for that abuse. I don't know. Maybe you will agree with us, with them, or and some of our chillers will not agree with them. But as you call up on man, we just want to understand if what other people said is good for them, and what is good for you and what is good for me. Umzo, DJ Wicked, Sabulela.
Peace.